Morning, everyone. Welcome to Technology Best Practices. This is the third workshop for the Spring 2026 workshop series presented by UK Online. Today, we'll be talking about technology in your Canvas course and looking at the different media types and the best practices for those to ensure that your media is successful and meeting the needs of your students in your course. When we first talk about media, we're going to look at interaction and faculty presence. So when the students open your Canvas course, they'll come to some sort of homepage, whether that homepage has been created by you or whether it's a template-based homepage. The information on it is usually the same. So we suggest that you post some type of information about yourself on the homepage so that when students open that, they are one looking at things like your syllabus, your modules might be on there, but they have some sort of introduction to you as well for the first time. So this can include posting a picture of yourself and then explaining a little bit about yourself on a professional and personal level. So this may include recording a video or it might be text based, but just giving the students an idea of who you are, where you've been, if you've been at different universities, maybe where you got your undergrad and graduate degrees from, and then also just some sort of personal information about yourself. It doesn't need to be anything too deep or too personal, but you might just share some of the hobbies outside of work that you're interested in. If you have any pets, just something to build an early relationship with students. Other than that, you can also have virtual standing office hours. I don't suggest that you necessarily have these each week. These can be things that are just done a couple times throughout the semester. They might be built around a major exam, a midterm, a final exam. Um, just office hours for students to come and ask questions. We always suggest, of course, that you know the ways they contact you, whether that's email or phone, is perfectly fine as well. Um, but just having virtual office hours there for them to come and connect with you is a good idea as well. Once again, building those just a couple times throughout the semester can help build a relationship with students as well. Checking in on students that are struggling to disengage. So that's, just dropping a quick email to them, dropping a quick note in their Canvas inbox, just checking in on them. If you see a student that's, you know, been engaged in the course for 6 or 8 weeks and then you see them just kind of disappear, checking in with them, make sure that everything's good, providing them the resources that they might need to be successful if it's something outside of classwork. Taking students on virtual field trips. So these are things that you might be able to do in a course. Some courses lend themselves better to take virtual field trips together. Um, these are some resources that you can kind of search the web for. You can go on some type of exploration as a class. It might be something that you look into. Showing your face in videos. So if you're doing a Zoom recording or you're doing some type of lecture-based activity that you're uploading into Canvas, showing your face in the video is always appreciated. Students can continue to build that relationship with you. They know who they're seeing on camera and who they're listening to. Next, looking at weekly announcements for students. So these can be either text or video based. These are and can be built into Canvas and automated. So if you have certain things that you know that are going to be due each week, you can go ahead and repopulate those announcements at the very beginning of the semester. And then you can schedule them to be released, Sunday night at midnight or whenever you want to, Monday morning, so that students know what is coming up throughout the week. And then, of course, if you have other things that come up, kind of spur of the moment, hey, I found this, workshop or this activity that I thought you guys might enjoy that relates to the course on campus. It's this week. Um, those are things that you can type in and send out quickly to students as well, so they don't always have to be pre-populated and scheduled. You can always have spur of the moment announcements as things come up. Engaging in discussion boards. I know that some professors have a kind of a get to know you discussion board there in the first week. I would suggest that an instructor participate in that as well. So if they have about you, tell me about your major, tell me about your minor, tell me about um, your personal hobbies, what you hope to get out of this class. As an instructor, I would fill that out as well. Of course, reframing it of, you know, what is my background in? What do I hope that the students get out of this course? And then, what are some of my personal things that I enjoy doing as well, or whatever your discussion board is about, helping you to get to know the students and the students getting to know you. Narrated walkthroughs. So if you're recording something on Zoom or Alex Cuttadine later in this, we'll go over some options for the Faculty Media Depot. He has a light board there. Narrated walkthroughs if you're presenting a PowerPoint, having yourself on camera as well. When Alex goes over the light board, he'll show you all of that. You'll be on camera as well there. Just examples and instructions for students. They can see you. They're building that connection and relationship with you. And then another optional thing here is just a closing personalized farewell message, or if you can do a virtual lunch together, something, virtual office hours, even to wrap up the class. I think that students really appreciate that. They can give you kind of some feedback there as well if you want in your course. Next up, talking about aligning media with your learning objectives. So you have your course level objectives there, and if you also have module level objectives, making sure that whatever media that you have chosen, whether it's lecture-based media, whether it's something that you pulled off the internet, whether it's a podcast, and even looking at media as far as web articles or infographics, how do those particular sources that I've chosen and those particular medias that I've chosen contribute to my learning objectives? And do they contribute to my learning objectives? Or are they just a space filler? Hey, I noticed that students only had this one article to read this week. I need to go find a video, kind of sorts relate to this topic. We want to make sure that the media that we choose is actually beneficial and enhancing to the course, and it's not just a space filler. So making sure your content, it meets those course level objectives. And if you have those module level objectives, that's actually a fit for what you're trying to have students be able to do. We'll talk about varied media types throughout this presentation, but we want to make sure that students are not just getting one form of content for all 8 or all 16 weeks. There are cases in which if you are, recording a lecture and uploading it, you're going to have, a lot of weeks of lecture, maybe 8 or 16 weeks of a lecture. But then looking at supplemental content, if you have supplemental content, how can I vary that media type? So if it's your primary or secondary media type, taking those and making sure that they are different, I think is appreciated by students. There is, students want a repeatability as far as organization goes in your course, so they know in module 1, these things are happening. Module 2, these things are happening. Module 3, and there's a repeatability there, but varying those media types. So if you do have a lecture-based video for each week, varying my secondary content. Maybe a couple weeks it's pulling in a guest speaker. Maybe 2 other weeks it's pulling from a podcast. Maybe 2 other weeks it's something I found on YouTube. 2 other weeks it might be, pulling an article, pulling an infographic and discussing it. So just looking at your media types and varying it. And then same thing, if it's not a supplementary content, same thing for your primary media content. Maybe I have 4 weeks of an externally linked YouTube video. Maybe 2 or 3 other weeks it's a podcast. Maybe 2 or 3 other weeks it's reading an article. So just having varied media types for students, it's going to lead to better engagement instead of just doing video only for 16 weeks or podcast only for 16 weeks. We want to keep the formatting and the consistency, the repeatability of the modules in the course the same throughout, so students know what to expect. But inside of those modules, varying your media types will help students be engaged. Next thing is length and balance of media. And I know Alex will talk about this as well when he shares his presentation. But keeping the media as short as and concise as you can for students. It'll limit student distraction. So these are just some suggestions based on the type of content. The short of it is the shorter the content, the better for students. So if you can provide the main parts for the students without the filler content, the more they'll actually get out of it. So for a video, it says 6 to 8 minutes in length, depending on where you're pulling the video from, or if you are recording it yourself. You might either download a portion of the video, put it into a video editor, and chop it up into different segments. So they might be just a 6 or 8 minute segment. It might be shorter than that, or you might have multiple videos. Hey, I want you to focus on these 2 to 4 minutes in this video that I provided for you, and then another 2 to 4 minutes in this video that I provided for you. Um, and those are things that are good for students to have there. You don't want to send them a 45-minute video and give them no context of one, what they're watching, but two, what they're actually looking for. What are the main points in there? If you do send them and are unable to segment a video, so if you're sending them a long video from YouTube or whatever, and it's 45 minutes long, hey, I only want you to watch these certain minutes. I want you to watch minutes 12 through 15, and then we're going to listen or watch to minutes 28 through 31. And then maybe there's some other segments in there that you want them to listen to or watch to as well, but they don't need to watch all 45 minutes of that video. So as short as possible that you can make it while still hitting your objectives there for students. Same thing with a podcast. Ideally it's 10 to 15 minutes in length. We know that probably most podcasts are at least 30 minutes or longer. But, pulling out those key points, maybe we're just introducing the speaker in minutes, 0 through 2, getting a background on them. And we're going to look at minutes 8 through 12, minutes 20 through 24. Just chunking the content, segmenting the content as much as we can for students to get those main focal points without the filler. Infographic, same way. Depending on the infographic, some infographic can be overloaded with information. Hey, we're just going to look at, this portion of the infographic, taking it, in a photo editor or whatever, and circling, hey, we're just looking at this, or even cropping it down if you can crop it down. Just focusing on that main content, pulling it out. Next thing we'll talk about is integrating your media into your learning management system, in this case, Canvas. So using the rich text editor in Canvas will allow you to embed the video, depending on the source that it's from, into your Canvas without any distractions there for the students. So if you instead hyperlink out a video that says, click here to view the video about XYZ, if students click that link and they're logged in or they've previously viewed videos on, usually we're going to say YouTube, it's going to provide them, depending on whether they're on desktop or mobile, it's going to provide them the video that you suggested that they watch. Of course, it's going to be the main video, but then they're going to have a running list on the right side on the desktop or below the video on mobile of other things that they might be interested in. So it's just easy for students to kind of navigate away from what you actually wanted them to be watching. So if it's a video on something, like for myself, if it's a video on something history based that I've been sent, my whole right side of my screen, based on my personal algorithm, is probably going to be all sports videos that I'm very interested in. So it's just easier for students to get away from the content that you are wanting them to actually view. So it's going to be harder for students to finish that video. They're going to want to click away from it. So we suggest that you embed that content using a rich text editor. YouTube, of course, definitely embeds. If you're using software here like YouTube embeds as well. And most sources of media will have some type of embed code that you can copy from the settings and then use that and copy it into the rich text editor, the HTML editor for Canvas so that students are just seeing the video and the content that you wanted them to see. They're not seeing that algorithm based on the right side or below the video or however it produces for that particular media source. Next, we're going to talk about active engagement with media. And the next slide, I believe, will also go over a little bit more about active engagement or at least the context for a video or your media source. So we try to avoid passive consumption as much as we can. It's always possible with different media types. Um, Listed below that are four different active engagement possibilities. There's definitely more than that out there, but these are just some possibilities that I've seen used. So there is UJA quiz interaction here. So you can upload either if you have your own like MP4 file, your own media source file, you can upload that to UJA. You can externally link to a YouTube video to UJA, and it will allow you to take that video. Students will be watching it just like they were normally watching it, but you have tools there that allow you to mark up the video so you can overlay stuff on top of the video. You can have the video pause and provide some type of quiz in there for students. It can be a multiple choice quiz, it could be a short um, like check your knowledge quiz that's ungraded, it could be a fill in the blank quiz. A lot of different quiz types in there for students. And if you want it to be graded, it will link back to the Canvas gradebook. If you don't want it to be graded, it can just be a self-check there for students. Same thing with Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle and UJ, I believe, are very similar. I haven't used Edpuzzle that much, but I know it will allow you to, I believe, upload media as well and external link media as well. I think they're very similar. So you can use Edpuzzle as well. The next two are um, the virtual whiteboard. So that is built into Canvas. It's one of your options there on the left-hand side of the menu. If it's not there, you can go to settings and navigation and enable it and set it up. So it's a virtual whiteboard for students to use. They can, if you have an assignment or something, they can write on it, interact and connect with each other, upload different stuff to it. And you can see who's written what, who's responded to what. So you can use it in that form. Same thing with a collaborative Google document. You can set that up for students. That would be externally linked. So students would need to have their Google account there and have it set up to interact with other students. The whiteboard and the Google Docs are a little bit more, I don't want to say cumbersome, but it requires some work on your end to see who's responded to what. I mean, their names hovered over it, but it does require a little bit more. If you have a lot of students in the class, you might break it up into, might have them do groups. So you might break it up into 10 students in group A, 10 students in group B, 10 students in group C, just so your whiteboard or your Google Doc just isn't overloaded with information. You're trying to figure out, who's uploaded what, who hasn't responded, whose response is this, and trying to take notes on that and then go back and look at your grade book and figure out who's done what. So if you're going to use those tools, depending on the amount of students in your course, it may be good to break those up into 2 or 3 whiteboards or 2 or 3 Google documents. Also, when we're talking about media, having some type of text-based thing there on what students need to be doing with the media after they have viewed or watched it or listened to it. What is the expectations for students? Is this just something for them to consume? Or in my next page of my Canvas shell, am I going to be working with this? Am I going to be taking a quiz? Am I going to be doing some type of text-based response? What is the prompt for that? It gives students something to look for in the video. I find that, in my own experience, if I don't know what I'm actually doing with the media afterwards, I'm going to watch it and I'm going to watch it, as intently as possible. But then if I was in the Canvas course and it says, respond to this X, Y, and Z prompt, I'm probably going to have to go back and watch that video again or several more times again, now that I know the prompt. So giving the students the prompt ahead of time, this is what you're going to be doing with it. These are maybe your key focal points that you need to listen or watch for. It's going to give me more of a focus on, you know, what I'm looking for in that media. Talking about accessibility, we talked about this on week Tuesday and Wednesday in the workshop series. So talking about accessibility and inclusivity, WCAG standards. As we all know, these are coming down in higher ed, so it's just something to be familiar with, be wary of. So these are from WCAG 2.1, and these are just three of I don't know, I want to say 50 plus accessibility guidelines that are built into um, the 2.1. So captions for videos, normally those can be turned on and turned off depending on what your media source is. So like YouTube, most of the videos there, as long as they've been uploaded anytime fairly recently or recently in general, they'll have automated captions there for students. If you upload something in YouTube, there is a setting there for automatic captions to turn on. So when you upload that media, you can go in the settings there, turn the captions on. And I would say usually, depending on their server load, like once you've turned that on and you've submitted it, I would say within, depending on the length of your video, 15, 30 minutes to an hour, you would receive an email that says your captions are done. And can also provide a transcript with you. So if you have um, something audio based, providing students a transcript that may require you to upload that media somewhere to provide you a transcript. I don't know of any particular programs off the top of my head. I believe you can probably upload it honestly, probably to UJA if you have audio, and then it will provide you a transcript for that as well. Sure, you could also take that into some type of AI software, and there would be different ones that you could upload the media file to, and it would provide you a transcript of that or the closed captions of that as well. I know we talked about alt text for images in one of our earlier workshops. So you'll see um, if you have your accessibility checker in Canvas, it'll provide you, a score there on your alt text. And if it's decorative, if it's just used for decoration in your course as a space filler, you can turn it and mark it as decorative. If it's something that students need to know or need to learn about, if a screen reader reads it and it's an infographic and it just says, your alt text is just pictures of circles with, um, different types of, it's not going to help the students. So we want to think about when we provide the alt text, if a student can't see that document, what do I need to put in the alt text so students know what it is, what it's about, what information is there? There are some AI tools that are built into Canvas that you can try. So when you get to the alt text area in Canvas, you can try the AI software in there. Sometimes it'll do a good job of, seeing what's on the page, seeing what's on the image, and it'll provide you something that you can use. Other times, it may not do a great job, so you might have to put the alt text in there stuff. Tools in Canvas for you to use. There's you do an accessibility checker. You can use that. There is the Canvas accessibility checker that's built into the rich text editor. So when you're in your editing portion of your Canvas page, after you've finished whatever you're finishing there, you can go down to right underneath that rich text editor box. There is a picture of a person, and it's in a circle. The person's inside the circle. So you can click on that and it will read whatever's on that page for you. And it will look at, are these things accessible? You can also use Ally. So Ally will run through your whole course, including your uploaded documents for you, and it'll pull out um, everything on each page. A really great tool to provide you an overall score, and it'll give you tips and whatnot to get things fixed. If I was going to use an accessibility checker, Ally is the one I would definitely use because it'll run through all my files. It'll look at my PDFs. It'll also look at my course content. It'll look at my images, and then it provides me recommendations on how to fix those things. So if I was going to use something, I think Ally is a great tool. The Canvas accessibility checker is fine as well, but it's only going to check the current page that you're on. So you'd have to do that for every single page. And then I don't believe it does anything with the PDFs. So, or any of the files uploaded in your course. So definitely um, use Ally for that. I think that it's probably the best tool for the job right now in Canvas. Next, we kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, talking about scaffolding media with context. I discussed that, if I was watching a YouTube video, I'm going to watch as intently as possible. But if I have the context for what I'm supposed to be doing with the video afterwards, provides me a little bit more intent on what I'm focusing on in that media. So pre and post activities, providing them maybe just a brief synopsis of the video. What is this video about instead of just pasting it up on the page. Giving me one, two, three sentences of what this video is about, what's going to be in the video, what's going to be in the audio podcast. Maybe pulling out a couple key terms. This might be key terms that have been used in your lecture. They might have been used in um, a research article or textbook. So, this kind of ties back into what we read in the previous week or what we read this week. Here's some key terms in the video or in the audio based media. What's the context of it? Where is this coming from? Who's presenting it? And then preview, view, and review. Same thing there. These are some things I want you to look for in this. We're going to view it, and then you're going to do something with the media. So it just gives them a purpose for viewing and listening to it. And, why am I listening to this? And what am I going to do with this information? Is this just for me to consume, kind of put in my knowledge bank? Or is this something for me to watch with intent? And then I'm going to be responding to a prompt, or I'm going to be taking a quiz, and maybe doing some type of group activity with it. What's the purpose in it? And I believe the last thing here, talking about evaluating and updating regularly. So you circling back to Ally, it'll provide you a report there of things that don't work in your course. So you can use it for broken links. There's a link accessibility checker or a link validator that's built into Canvas. So it'll check your links there. So if you have something hyperlinked out, it'll check your media, check your hyperlink source. If it's broken, it doesn't work. You can use that link validator. But just going through your own course and making sure that the media is up to date as much as it can be, depending on what you're teaching in your course. Things may change fast. They may change semester by semester, year by year. So do I have the most up-to-date and most recent information for students? If your course is maybe a little bit slower, still checking those, making sure that the content is as up-to-date as possible. And finally, just making sure that the content works. And this goes for all of your content, even if it's an uploaded article, making sure that that article actually opens in a PDF that students can see. It worked last semester. I copied the course over. It should work this semester, but let's double check before we get into module 4. And I'm getting, several emails on Monday. Hey, this PDF doesn't work for, this module. So just making sure that your content works. Same thing with videos, same thing with podcasts. If you have the file and you uploaded it, it should copy over semester after semester, but just, clicking play, skipping through it, scrubbing through it, making sure that it works, the sound works, things like that. And same thing with a podcast. If you're uploading that file, does the audio work? Let me scrub through it and just double check. Um, and then if you have it embedded, this is kind of where things can go awry. So if I embed content that's not actually hosted, in my course, it's hosted externally. So if they take down the YouTube video or they make it private, they remove the podcast from the website or the website address is changed, that can break your media source. So, checking those if they're embedded, hey, let me click play, let me make sure it's still there. Because those can change. Maybe the user who owns that content on the YouTube. They want to make it private for whatever reason. If the students click on that or you click on that at the beginning of the semester and it's private, it's going to say, this video has been disabled by the owner. Then you don't have access to turn that back on because you're not the owner of that video. So just making sure that the content is there and the content works each semester, quickly going back through and checking. You don't want links to be broken or media not to be there. All right, if there aren't any questions, I will turn over to Alex Cuttadine from the Faculty Media Depot. And he'll be going over some different media things that you're able to create with the Faculty Media Depot. I can say personally that I have sent things over to them to create and help me with. They've done a fantastic job, and I know they work closely with UK Online to create things for us. So he has a lot of good information to share, and I'll turn it over to him.
My name is Alexander Cuttadine. I run the Faculty Media Depot, where we offer a variety of media services at in the 612 College of Nursing building. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about considerations for using media in your course, what we offer at the Faculty Media Depot. I also want to get you thinking about kind of the workflows in developing media, what that looks like in terms of either working on your own or working with us, and then publishing that content to your course. Now, this will be a high-level overview of these topics, and so we really encourage you to follow up with our team if you have any questions, and to kind of think about this going forward. We'll kind of look at this from three different areas today. So the three kind of categories of media services that we provide is general media support. So things like working with media files, publishing that content. We also operate a video studio as well as an audio studio. Whether that's working with media or actually producing content. And within that consultation, we'll kind of get an idea, we'll ask you some questions, get an idea about the type of course or the type of media you're looking to create or looking to offer within your course. And then we'll get some details about kind of to help determine the best way to create that content, and then start talking about things like timelines, production timelines, and the work that goes into that, both on your side and our side, so we kind of can build an accurate timeline about what it would look like to prepare all of that content. But we can also help you work with media files. So if you have existing files, or say there are files online, and you need to capture a clip and you're not sure how to do that, we can assist with that. Really, any type of media question. We can also help you with editing. So if you have existing content or you're looking at adding additional features to your content, we can assist with that. We do graphics and animation. So if you want to highlight something that's maybe better highlighted with a visual graphic, or if you're looking at creating maybe branding or a consistent look and feel for your content, we can talk about things like title graphics and lower third graphics to kind of highlight your content. We also have equipment checkout and training, and then we can make equipment recommendations as well. So like I was talking about, consultations, we've discussed our capabilities, identify what you want to produce, and talk about how to optimize that content for engagement, and then setting that production timeline. once we kind of get an idea of what you're trying to create. And then we also coordinate with our instructional designers. So to make sure that your content is kind of flowing with the supporting content within your course, and that kind of you get the most out of that presentation through Canvas. In terms of working with media, so again, managing media, backup and storage is something else we can discuss with you. A lot of instructors may have their files in one place, or they might feel that uploading to Canvas, that's the one place, or that's permanent storage. But we definitely want to have those files in multiple locations, and we can talk about a backup strategy to make sure that you don't lose your content. Uh, these can be large files, and so compressing those or getting them in a high quality format that you can back up reliably is something we can discuss with you. But then distribution and transmission. So whether you're utilizing Canvas, one of our video tools that integrate with Canvas, or you're integrating with another platform, we can discuss about how to prep those files and what it looks like to upload those to different platforms. And then ultimately how to deliver those to your students. Is it going to be embedded? Are you sending a link? Are you sending them to an outside platform? And then what will be the best way to utilize that content within your course so that your students get the most out of it and remain as engaged as possible. So we do editing at the FMD. When you record with us, we do offer some basic editing services. We typically will coordinate ahead of time to figure out if there are edits that might need to take place within the content that you're producing. One example would be, you have some additional video clips that you would like to insert in this one piece of media. And we might say, okay, give us the links to those, and then as well as the edit points, and then we'll make a note, and then we kind of we can streamline that process. But you could come to us with content as well. Maybe you're doing some field work. You've checked out cameras with us, and you're like, okay, I went out to this location. I recorded something on site, and I'd either like to include this in a video by itself or into a lecture video, and we could do something like that as well. We can also offer training. So we have some people who for either workflow purposes or just for flexibility and being able to kind of tweak their own content. Some people want to edit that on their own. So we can do training through with one-on-one training about Adobe Creative Cloud, video editing, and other audio editing and other software as well. And we can connect you to quality outside resources for support and training as well, if you're interested. In terms of graphics and animation, we can create custom templates. So say you want to have a title animation, but you want it to change each time. We can create a template for your entire course, or maybe your program. And in that case, we basically create the source once, and then we can replace things like titles or text. It'll have the same look and feel, same branding, but then you get a nice, easy way to get a custom quality look, or add a custom and quality look to your content. And then title graphics, full screen graphics, lower third graphics, like you can see on the side over here, kind of introducing your speaker is one use of that. And then custom animations. We've had a handful of people come to us and say, I can't really show this in video very well, but I want to highlight this concept. And it's a chemical reaction. And when you add one thing to another, I want to be able to display that so they get a visual connection to that concept. And so that would be something we could potentially animate. And so there's a variety of options there as well. Animation is one of the most involved processes that we do here. So kind of that's as resources allow. But if we can commit to doing something like that, we definitely want to. If you have a concept that you'd like to see happen. And then equipment checkout, we have camcorders and wireless microphones. Those are some of the most common things we check out. We also have tripods. So there may be an instance where you have a speaker on campus or performance, or you're doing some type of field work or maybe a tour of a historic site, something that we cannot capture in the studio, but you'd need a camera to kind of highlight some of that. And especially with audio, our cameras allow these wireless lavalier microphones to be connected directly for high quality sound. We also have iPad support kits. So I know a lot of people throughout campus have been issued iPads, and we have microphones and tripods to turn those into video production or video recording devices as well. We can do equipment recommendations. Some courses or some colleges have a budget for equipment, but they don't necessarily know what they need, or they don't know how to best spend that money. So we would usually do, if you needed some recommendations on equipment for whether you're doing an in-office studio, maybe a studio space for your college in a room you've designated, or you need some flexible equipment, we would define a goal. What you want to accomplish with that equipment. We would look at locations, see how much space you had, if you had any challenges in the space, or maybe any existing benefits to that space we could leverage. Then we'd look at your budget. How much money do you have to spend? There's a wide range of budgets when it comes to media. For a few $100s, you could get something, or you could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so we kind of identify that within your budget. We'd create an equipment spec, or for whether that would be in a fixed location or mobile. So we would kind of customize those equipment recommendations for what the purpose it needed to be utilized for. And then afterwards, we can help you deploy that, set it up, make sure lighting and video is all set up as good as it can be. And then after that deployment, we can train as needed so that you'd be able to operate that. And when you come to our location, we're located in 612 College of Nursing building. We have both a video studio and an audio studio here, as well as some support spaces and workspaces. In our video studio, one of the main things we do are lectures with PowerPoint. It's kind of a relatively basic setup, but we do some kind of enhancements in this space to both streamline production as well as improve the look. We also have a light board that we'll look at here in a moment. We can do interviews, demonstration videos. We have a large green screen that goes floor to ceiling, and we can do introduction videos as well that are probably the most basic version of what we do, but can serve a valuable purpose within your course. So when we look at our lecture video setup, we do have an available teleprompter. So this can be beneficial for both presentation or quality of presentation, as well as accessibility. Having that script read verbatim oftentimes can be fed directly into a video platform software that can then be synchronized, and you have word for word captions without having to utilize a third party source. It can also improve your presentation, knowing every word you're going to say ahead of time, and then having it there to read can improve the accuracy of what you're saying. We have a variety of backgrounds. Our most common ones are white, black, and then we have that chroma key green screen to allow us to replace that background. We also have kind of a natural background. Our studio has windows that overlook the medical campus, and so we can kind of get this UK skyline in the background as well. We do offer slide overlays. So this top image is an example of an instructor speaking beside their slides. Those slides can be annotated with our pen interface tablet that is available right beside the presenter. And then we also have high quality lighting to make you look as good as possible, and also to light our environment and kind of highlight our content or you as needed. We can transition between your content and you, depending on where we want to show that focus. So If you are doing an introduction and you're giving information from yourself that they really need to focus on, we can get rid of that slide entirely. Or if you have diagrams or really detailed information, we can animate that in and out to create that engaging presentation that really focuses on the most important part of that content to try to get the most out of what you're presenting. Let's see. We also make edit notes. So as we're recording, we'll kind of discuss ahead of time what you are, kind of the flow of your presentation. And then if anything happens during the presentation, we make edit notes. We have to start and stop. If there was some type of sound or anything, a cough that we need to edit out, we make all those edit notes as we go so that we can go back and make any changes to polish your content. So this is a demonstration of kind of what those transitions might look like. And so this was a slide, and you'll see it's how we can kind of transition from full frame to split screen.
What we're seeing now with
And this is an example of this on a white background, and we can transition, do those transitions back and forth. We would usually start with a title screen and then go to your presentation so that your viewer or your student can get a sense of who you are as a presenter, and then we can kind of focus on the content as needed. We also have a light board, which is kind of a unique presentation tool. It's an illuminated glass surface where the text kind of glows in space in front of the presenter. We record on a black background, and that kind of gives the sense of the presenter, kind of the text floating and the presenter kind of being behind that content. We record from the opposite side, so we do a mirror image of that board. And so as you write, your students see exactly what you see on the other side of the board. We can also integrate this with slide overlays that also can be annotated. And so one example would be chemistry, for example. We probably recorded more with the chemistry department than anybody else, but they have lots of large equations. Mathematics and statistics is another example of that. And those large equations, sometimes it would take a long time to write out by hand, but oftentimes we'll show the equation on the slide. We can flip through those slides very rapidly, and then they can be worked out by hand, or parts of those can be worked out on the board. We could also use the slide overlays to introduce the concepts while they're worked through on the board as well. We'd like to coordinate those edits ahead of time. So especially if the board needs to be erased or you need to present more than one board's worth of content, erasing takes time. And so we kind of like to coordinate those edit points so that the pacing and the presentation can be as engaging as possible. And so this is what a Lightboard presentation, an excerpt from that looks like. So you can see we have some of our information on the slide here. And then you can see this is Dr. Steve Purnell, and he's in the chemistry department.
So we're going to have sodium ions here in the gaseous state, and we're adding to them the chloride ions.
And so as he works through this and adds, he can fill up the space, he can write in different colors, and this is ends up being an engaging tool. I've spoken to a lot of students in the past, unrelated to this content specifically, and they'll remark about, for one, how challenging these intro to chemistry courses are, but they remember these videos, and that I even had one student say they were shared these videos from another course that didn't use these videos, and they had a better experience. So it does, from our feedback, what we've found that this presentation format, especially for some of this information-heavy content, especially when you're trying to connect, kind of working through an equation in real time. So the words are connecting with the visuals as they're happening, kind of reinforcing all of those concepts.
So
we can also do interviews. So if you'd like to bring somebody in you might have a guest speaker, or you might have an expert on a topic that you'd like kind of a long-term interview, or an interview that you'd like to store for a long time. You might utilize for multiple semesters. We have a couple different options for doing those interviews. We can do an on or off camera interview. So on this slide, we can see over to the side, this would be an example of an off camera interview where our cameras are zoomed in on our person being interviewed, and we might have a multiple camera shoot. So we might have a wider shot and a close-up shot, so we can kind of cut between those. And we can do that with the interviewer actually does not appear on camera, but we kind of focus on the person being interviewed. We can also do 2 or 3 person interviews in front of our backgrounds. We would use what's called a cross camera recording in that instance, where we have close-ups of each individual, kind of from an angle that allows them to have a discussion, and then we get close-ups of them as well as a wide shot. We also do demonstration videos. These demonstrations are very unique. So there is some pre-planning like we like to do, especially something like an anatomy of a skull video. We want to get the correct angles. We want to make sure it's lighted correctly, and that's something we definitely want to do some pre-planning with. Each demonstration is going to be unique, and so we want to make sure we have those correct angles. Do we need to show perspective over the shoulder, as if the viewer is watching it from the angle that the demonstration is being presented, or do we need to really focus in, zoom in? Do we need a tight shot? Do we need to show somebody's hands? Things like that. We've done demonstrations with liquid nitrogen, suturing videos on a silicone arm, music, so music recording, as well as playing, so multiple camera angles of instruments being played with direct audio recordings of that, soldering, knitting, and many more. We also have a green screen, and so this is a recording I did in front of our green screen where I wanted to inset myself in a video game background for effect. This can be done for just background replacement if you want to kind of add some context to what you're talking about, but it could also be done to highlight specifically content. So if your presentation benefits from being inset within the content, for you to highlight or point things out, that can be a benefit as well. We do have full body options like you see here, and that means that we pull the green screen out all the way on the floor so you can be fully inset within that content. Introduction videos are another thing we do frequently. It allows you, maybe at the beginning of your entire course, you can introduce yourself to the class so they have a connection with the instructor, video and audio connecting you as an instructor back to that course and to the presentations. But they can also be beneficial in a specific topic or a module. We record with one individual, I believe Rick Bennett, who I'll show a video of here in a moment. He likes to do a introduction to each module, and he does these as the course is presented. And so if he gets feedback, or if there's something that happens in a discussion forum, he then each week can come in and speak specifically to that as he introduces the next topic. This is an opportunity to use the teleprompter as you're kind of engaging directly with the audience. And this is a quick example.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for your discussion last week on measurements. Most of you selected to answer the question regarding the employer who wants to identify the best employees with punctuality as a measure. And
so Rick can frame subsequent modules depending on the needs of his course and how he's getting a response from his class throughout the semester using these introduction videos. We also have an audio studio. So in here, we can do screen recordings with high quality professional sound. We can also record podcasts with up to 4 people. And we may also do remote interviews. We've done remote interviews with radio stations, public radio. We have a high quality sound recording setup that is kind of in line with the professional audio from those outlets, and then other recordings as well, such as dialogues or something that might need a voiceover. So I'm gonna kind of skip past. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. I don't want to run over on time here. So are we just to double check, Sean? Are we scheduled to be done at 11 o'clock?
Yes, but we're good to run over a couple minutes if you need to.
Okay, I'll try to make this concise. And so this is our audio studio. And so a quick look at our audio studio. We have sound dampening on the walls, professional microphones, professional mixers. A lot of this is automated, so we'll assist you throughout the process, whether you want to do screen recording or other types of recordings. So some considerations, whether you're recording with us or not. So how does that media fit within your course? How do you increase that engagement so that you keep the attention of your students? What you need to prepare and how long this will all take to make. And so identifying the most effective medium for your content is important. We have had instructors in the past come to us and say, I lecture each week. I'm just going to stand in front of the camera an hour each module, and it'll be just like the in-person experience, except online delivery is much different, as you know, and so we really want to leverage each piece of content for engagement and to keep our students, that we're presenting the information as effectively as possible, that we're keeping them engaged. And so this is an excerpt from a course that I offer, and just as an example, showing that there's a lot of different content. It exists within within kind of a logical format, so that as they are browsing this module, that they're receiving that content in a directed way to kind of to highlight that engagement, so that they are getting the most out of each module. And engagement is a topic. Sean touched on it, and this chart, for starters, this is a very common chart of, and this can be replicated in viewership across all different types of media. And whether I've worked in editorial content, in educational content, or entertainment, this type of engagement or viewership metric looks almost identical. You see this initial fall off that's very steep, followed by kind of a steady decline. And then there's almost always a little bit of a peak towards the end as people are fast forwarding to the end. And so our challenge when we're creating content is, for one, how do we attract people initially to keep their initial attention? We heard Sean kind of referred to this. Some social media platforms actually refer to 3-second metrics, where you have 3 seconds to gain a viewer's attention at the very beginning. And so thinking of a way to spawn some thought or encourage the viewer to watch from the very beginning is important. But then also throughout, we know we have, whether this is engagement or viewership, we have a fall off over time. So creating breaks within the content, so knowledge checks that Sean referred to, but also including supplemental content. So that adds that variety that can kind of varying media types. So adding that variety can give us those varying media types that have been shown as a benefit. But then as a presenter, you can also do some things, being enthusiastic, kind of having that same the reason you went into your field. There's an important reason for that, and it's your life's work. So imparting that to your students as well. There's been research shown in a variety of different formats that the enthusiasm or the emotional connection from the presenter and the viewers is there's a strong connection there, and the more you can demonstrate that to your students, the more engaged they will be. But then also preparation, making sure that you've reviewed your content, that you have an outline, even reading through it ahead of time can allow you to kind of be more prepared, kind of understand that flow and how that content is going to be presented. It'll improve the content and improve that pacing and hopefully improve engagement. So I'm going to wrap it up there. And actually, one last thing, I want to talk about production timeline real quick. Feel free to reach out to us, especially if you're working with us. We'll do a consultation usually at the beginning if it's a first point of contact. But also, if you're worked with us in the past and you're working on a new course, we are certainly happy to walk through this because each course is going to be a little bit unique. At the beginning, we'd identify a launch date, and really we'll want to produce all of the content or the majority of that content before the course launches, so we know in part that we have it all done, so the course is ready to go, but also we'll know better how that content flows within the entirety of the course. We usually produce one segment or one recording. We'll schedule one recording block kind of as a baseline. That kind of allows you to know what it will take to prepare for each presentation, what the recording process looks like, and what the turnaround time is as well. We can use that once we kind of know how long it took to produce that one. We can kind of estimate what the rest will take, and ideally we will be able to do that before the start of the course. If the course has already started, it'll allow us to identify if we have any issues or might have an issue with that course ending before we could feasibly record. But we typically turn around same day. So if you've done a recording with us, we do our best to have something ready to post that day if it has basic edits. So I will wrap up there. I know that was a lot. That was really quick. We'll take some questions, but we also, I'm available and our staff here is available at the Faculty Media Depot if you have any questions, general questions about working with media, about recording with us, anything we've covered today. My email's there. And then if you are interested in scheduling or if you have general questions, you can contact fmd@g.uky.edu as well. And we are in 612 College of Nursing building here, kind of on the edge of the medical campus.
Thank everyone for attending. Remember, UK Online has office hours this afternoon from 2 to 4. So if you have a question about your course, feel free to pop in and we'll help you out as best we can. If you need anything else throughout the semester, you can reach out to elearning@uky.edu and we'll be more than happy to help. If nothing else, have a great Thursday and a great rest of your week.